Whew, just got done covering the mystery of Malaysia 370. Oh, God, what a beast that is. I can't wait to drop it on Saturday. It took me like 3 days to do, but it's done and in the can and on its way to you. I thought I would spend a few minutes talking about Shannon Bedore from Real Housewives of Orange County. I've been meaning to talk about Shannon and I haven't had time, so I hope you will join me in my little journey about Shannon. So there's a few things I wanted to tell you guys. Number one, in case you missed it, Shannon Bedore was sentenced from her DUI. Number two, John Jansen sued her for $75,000. She offered to pay him, and then he wouldn't do the deal, and I'm about to tell you why. But there are some things that don't add up in all of this, and I need your help with figuring this out. So I am enrolling you in this video tonight to help me with another mystery. The mystery part's halfway through the video. Okay, so as a reminder, back in November of 2023, Shannon Bedore, pretty quiet, settles her DUI charges and hit and run charges. She does this by pleading no contest to a misdemeanor DUI charge in return for dismissing the misdemeanor hit and run charge. She received 3 years of probation related to an Orange County DUI, which, by the way, I looked into what that means and I wanted to share it with you. And I also want to note that the prosecutor in the case wanted Shannon Bedore to serve 30 days in prison and fought the judge really hard to make her do that. But the judge said, no, I'm going to give her 3 years of probation instead of jail. And Shannon gladly took that. Now, I want to tell you what 3 years of probation means in Orange County with a DUI so you understand what's really happening behind the scenes with Shannon. So the first thing that happened to Shannon Bedore in her probation for her DUI is she has to pay back any property or human damage she caused because of her DUI. In her case, it was moderate, as I put that in air quotes, like LA Times did, and it was $24,100. So she would have to pay the property damage of the $24,100 back. She also has to pay a bunch of fines and fees that they have given her because of her wrongdoing. She goes on a 3-year probation. She's not allowed to have any alcohol at all and drive, not even the legal limit that is allowed in Orange County, California. So she can't drink ever and drive at all. So that's good. Sometimes you get also school. Sometimes you don't. It just depends. She has to travel with a valid driver's license. She has to do 40 hours of community service. She has to have proper insurance at all times, which is required anyway in the state of California. But these are some of the things that she's going to have to do. She also has to tell any officer that demands of any time that she's on probation, and she has to give full disclosure to that officer pretty much in whatever he demands from her. So she doesn't have really a right to refrain from telling an officer something like you do when you have rights. So let me just quickly remind you why Bedore allegedly drank and drive. She told this to the officers. The officer determined Bedore's speech was slurred and that she smelled of alcohol. She explained that she had gone to a restaurant at 6:30 p.m., drank 3 large tequila sodas, and then after dinner had gone to her ex-boyfriend's house before being kicked out. Okay, so notice that he kicks her out. So drunk girlfriend comes over, he knows she's driving, and he kicks her out and doesn't care if she drinks and drives. Just saying, and he's been with her for years. Just throwing that out there. Then Shannon goes on to say this really lame thing. She says, I left the scene of the accident because I didn't think the damage was significant. Somebody tells Shannon that's illegal. Now, I'm guessing from the amount the bail was that her fine was probably somewhere around $25,000. I'm serious. So she probably had to pay that well. So why do I bring this into this discussion? Because now I want to get into John Jansen and the facelift out of the blue lawsuit for 75 grand. So just to remind you, Shannon Bedore's DUI was September 17, 2023. Okay, so some mega dynamic change happens. John Jansen goes from, I don't want anything to do with the Real Housewives of Orange County, I want to keep everything super private, to going out with another Real Housewives of Orange County cast member, Alexis Bellino, and doing Oscar red carpets and other red carpets and spilling the tea and saying that he wants to marry Alexis and he's fully in support of her on the show and doing like press with her and posting photos on Instagram. It's so different. Now, just to throw it in here, Alexis Bellino swears up and down that she did not use John Jansen to get on the show, and that may be true in the sense that she didn't, but I'll tell you right now, the producers did. And there's been rumors for years that Jesus Jugs was coming back. It never happened, only now, and that's because of John Jansen. Let's make no mistake about it. Now, Tamra Judge said she sees no problem with it because John Jansen and Alexis Bellino innocently met. Alexis doesn't know Shannon Bedore, and so why shouldn't she date John Jansen if it just so happens that they hook up that way? And Tamra said, I have no problem supporting that relationship because of it, and I don't think Alexis is thirsty, and I want to be her friend, and I'm going to be her friend on the upcoming season, and I don't really care what Shannon Bedore has to say about it, although I'm close friends with Shannon, until we had a falling out with our live show with Trey Amigas. And, you know, because she heard that Vicky was talking smack, and Shannon and her allegedly made up after that, but obviously not enough for her to back up her friend and not be close with Alexis, who is dating Shannon's ex that caused her so much misery. Just saying. Now, I found examples of where Shannon Bedore has some sort of plastic surgery to her face, but it seems pretty minor. It doesn't seem to be a $100,000 procedure, and they're certainly advertising Shannon Bedore doing it, so I would assume that she got a significant discount, if not all of it free, especially at her level of reality TV star. And so it was very odd to me that she borrowed $75,000 from John Jansen for a facelift. So now take a look at this. It's about the facelift in question that John Jansen allegedly paid for. In part 2 of the Real Housewives of Orange County Season 16 reunion, which aired on April 27th, it was finally disclosed who went under the knife after filming ended for the season. I had a facelift 5 weeks ago, Shannon Storm Bedore said, though Dr. Jenna Armstrong, who is in the cosmetic field herself, said she can tell. The rest of the cast members seemed surprised by Shannon's news. Shannon continued to say that after the procedure, the surgeon called my boyfriend, John Jansen, and said, I've never cut more skin out of a neck in my entire career than I have with Shannon's. So that's a little weird that the plastic surgeon's calling John Jansen to gossip about not a facelift, a neck lift, it sounds like, that Shannon received. Again, something's off. Now, see, if John had paid for the facelift directly, I would have gotten why the doctor called him. But he didn't. He wired the money to Shannon, and Shannon allegedly paid the doctor. Okay, take a look at this. This doesn't add up either. John claimed that in January of 2022, he loaned her, meaning Shannon, $40,000 for a facelift, which was sent by a wire transfer. And in May of 2023, he sent her a personal check for $35,000. Huh? So let me just tell you something about plastic surgeons. They're either going to take you for free or nearly nothing because they need to use you on their celebrity list on their website and they want to promote and get press out of it. Or they're going to take full price. They're going to be so exclusive that they can tell you to go F yourself, that they don't need your promotion. And they are for sure going to want 100% of their money up front. unless you take out a plastic surgery loan, which they might help you do a portion of it, and you'll be making payments on that every month. So it just isn't totally adding up that this loan was specifically for a facelift. What am I really saying here? I don't believe that Shannon borrowed this money for a facelift. She may have told John Jansen that, but I don't believe it. Now, here's something else that doesn't add up. In the past, she was like helping John Jansen out, and then somehow John Jansen's now writing her a check and wiring her money for a facelift. And let me ask you something else. Please tell me why Shannon Beador in 2022 would need to borrow money when she's been on Housewives at that point for like 7 years. Normal housewife contracts go for 5 years, and they go up to like a few $100,000 in those 5 years. I'd say it's even more since my time, like probably $500,000 by the time you're at year 5. I think at 6 or 7 years, she's probably doing 600,000 or 700,000 in salary per season. So that's a lot of dough. And she's got all these businesses going on at this time. And oh, by the way, she had already done that procedure too, around the same time that like Kelly Dodd is leaving OC. Because it's not adding up to me. Take a look at what was said to the press by everybody, okay? John claimed that in January of 2022, he loaned her $40,000 for a facelift, which was sent by wire transfer. And in May 2023, he sent her a personal check for $35,000. In the court documents, he further claimed that both he and Beador agreed that she would pay him back the sum with interest. However, Jansen alleged that after asking for the repayment in 2023 and also this year, the reality star has yet to do so. Along with the full $75,000, the Real Housewives star X is also requesting that she pay accrued costs and interest, as well as his attorney fees. After the lawsuit came to light, Shannon released a statement to People on Friday to give her response. I'm shocked and disappointed that John has filed a lawsuit. My attorney has been in constant communication with his counsel. I agreed to pay John what he wanted because I knew that attorney fees would surpass the amount sought, but more importantly, to eliminate the negative emotional components that come with a lawsuit. It is important that I continue to focus on the positive aspects of my life and move forward. Beador added, John declined the offer because he refused to sign a mutual non-disparagement agreement. So that doesn't make much sense, because why would John want to disparage Shannon in the future unless, of course, it's related to the TV show and he's worried about that. And so he doesn't want to take the $100,000 because he's intending to say bad things about Shannon to Alexis on the TV show or around it. And he can't guarantee the edit of the show. And so he's scared that he'll get countersued if he signs that agreement. Only thing I can think of, because certainly I'm not going to let a piece of paper like that come between me and $100,000. You know what I mean? And look what Shannon Beador's inner circle said about John Jansen buying a promise ring for Alexis Bellino. They said this. She said, one insider shared with another, adding that many in Beador's inner circle are casting doubt that Jansen bought Bellino an alleged $16,000 ring for Christmas just 1 month into their romance. Shannon said he didn't pay for shit, a source told Radar Online when asked about the promise ring that Beador's ex allegedly gave Bellino for the first holiday as a couple. He didn't pay for shit, but somehow he lent her $75,000 for a face surgery that sounds like it's a neck surgery? Like, what is going on here? Now, there had been other gossip, which was that Shannon said that, he gave her the facelift and it wasn't a loan and she doesn't know what he's talking about with the loan. And he's like, that's not true. I have text messages and emails that show that it was a loan and you owe me the money. And if you want, we'll break those out in court and you'll see it. But something is wrong here. And I did this video because I wanted you guys to help me speculate what is really going on. This money, I don't believe, was used for a facelift that Shannon borrowed. And why does Shannon need to borrow money from John Jansen, of all people, who she was giving money to back in 2022, in 2 big payments that are done 6 months apart? Something is so fishy here. So I want to hear that, your speculation in the comments. And then also, I want to remind you that John Jansen kicked Shannon Bedore out of his house knowing she was drunk to drive a car. Just throwing that out there with this, because if somebody owes you $75,000, even if you hate their guts, you want them to get home safely. So that's something that doesn't add up to me either. Just saying. Something's really odd with this. Something else happened with John Jansen and Shannon, and I haven't gotten to the bottom of it. But tell me if you guys hear anything. Maybe ask Kelly Dodd.